one who was foretold by the prophet in Matthew's Gospel. And you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, you are by no means least among the leaders of Judah, for out of you will come a leader who will shepherd my people Israel. And so the church very, very early on has painted in the catacombs an image of Jesus as the Good Shepherd, from the Gospel, where the shepherd goes in search of the one that is lost. And we have an image for you from the catacomb of Domitilla, and we also have an image for you of the Good Shepherd as in a statue. Notice how young Jesus looks, with long hair, and he is the Good Shepherd. Also in the Old Testament, there is a strong tradition of presenting unfaithful leaders as bad shepherds who leave their flocks because they're thinking of themselves to be scattered and to the wolves and so on. And Ezekiel chapter 34 is magnificent for this. God is presented as the real shepherd, the future good shepherd, who will gather the scattered flock, scattered because of the bad shepherds. He'll bring them back together again. And in this wonderful chapter, Ezekiel 34, there's also looking forward to the time when there will be a future David type figure, a sort of a royal figure, who will shepherd his people so that there will form only one flock. So Ezekiel chapter 34 is quite extraordinary. It's the background especially to John chapter 10. I will set up over them one shepherd, my servant David, and he shall feed them. He shall feed them and be their shepherd, and I, the Lord, will be their God. And my servant David shall be present among them, and he shall pasture them. That's from Ezekiel 34. Interestingly, at the time of St. John's Gospel, there was a contemporary book being written, the second book of Baruch. And it also speaks about the people said, the shepherds of Israel have perished, and the lamp which gave us light is extinguished, and the fountain from which we used to drink has withheld its streams. Now we have been left in the darkness, and in the thick forest, and in the aridness of the desert. A sense too of the people looking for, well, the way it's put forward in 2nd Baruch, only the Torah will restore what we need. The Torah will be the good shepherd for us, and so on. Now, this good shepherd section of the Gospel is the last discourse before chapter 13, where we move into Jesus at the Last Supper and the wonderful discourses around at the Last Supper. Like all the other discourses, it's intimately connected with the action which has just preceded it, the story of the man born blind. The Pharisees, during that story, showed their true colours, didn't they? They are arrogant and very fundamentalist, literalist in their approach to how God is working. They treat people with contempt. They're bad shepherds, acting like hirelings. And so in chapter 10, we see a contrast with Jesus, who is the true pastor. We see the contrast between Jesus as the true pastor and the Pharisees, who are bad pastors. This section too is also a bridge between the Feast of Tabernacles and the Feast of Dedication, which is the next section in John chapter 10. The historical event of the rededication of the temple reminded everyone of the bad priests that they had not too long ago. Jason and Menelaus, who had aided the foreigners to take in and destroy the temple. John chapter 10, verses 1 to 21, we look at it just briefly, has two main sections, each beginning with Jesus saying, "Truly, truly, I say to you." The first section is verses 1 to 6. It's an image, a parable, almost like a field of images, as one commentator puts it. The first two verses speak of those who have authorized access to the sheepfold and those who don't. Verses 3 to 5 speak of the intimacy between shepherd and sheep. The sheep recognize his voice. The shepherd knows the name of each of his sheep. Verses 7 to 21, we have Jesus saying now, "I am the gate and I am the good shepherd." First off, I am the gate of the sheepfold. We enter life through Jesus. He is the way into salvation for us. Reminding us of Psalm 118, "Open to me the gates of holiness. I will enter and give thanks. This is the Lord's own gate, where the just may enter." And Jesus says there finally, "I have come that they may have life and lead their life to the full." Jesus is the life. He's the gateway into life. One of the most central affirmations of the whole of the gospel. And then he says, not only am I the gate, he uses the powerful image, "I am the good shepherd." God continuously is caring for his people. I do God's work. I'm continually being a shepherd towards God's people. And this image from the Old Testament, from Ezekiel 31, deepens by Jesus saying, the shepherd, the good shepherd, is one who lays down his life for the sheep. It's a very distinctive theme in St. John's Gospel. And that dimension of giving his life isn't present in the Old Testament, but comes to the fore in St. John. The image of the hired hand, the hireling, echoes the bad shepherds, of course. They're concerned for their own well-being. They're not going to be killed or hurt in any way, and they couldn't care less what happens to the sheep. And Jesus says there will be one flock and one shepherd, reminding us that Jesus came to call everybody into the flock, not just Jewish people, but everybody. He wants everyone to belong to the fold, to the sheepfold. God loved the world so much that he sent his only Son, so that everyone who believes in him may have life. And the final part now, we move to Jesus at the Feast of Dedication. As we mentioned, it commemorates something that happened not too long in the past for Jewish people of the Lord's Day. In the year 164 BC, Judas Maccabeus defeated the Greeks, the Syrians, the Greek speakers. Now, it was a battle that was pretty significant because some years previously, 10, 15 years previously, the Greeks had been influencing strongly under Antiochus IV the whole of the world that they had control of, including